All right. Says we're live. This is a good thing. But there we go. My live counter is ticking. Fabulous. So, good morning. Happy Friday. It is indeed Friday and not our usual Thursday. I have coffee. And I have the best neighbor who set me up with cream this morning. And you guys, let me tell you, having great neighbors is something that just like makes your life so much better. I've never really been fortunate to be in a position to have great neighbors before, and just this last couple of months has really proven to me what gems my neighbors are. And I am just incredible fans of how generous and how kind, and just how much that makes my life better. It's really, really nice. And I think that going forward, I'm definitely going to make the effort to be a better neighbor wherever we end up living, which could be anywhere because my husband's in the army. So kudos to Stephanie for saving my bacon once again, giving me cream for my coffee. And hopefully I can repay the favor in kind by entertaining you a little bit this morning, keeping things interesting for you. My intention for the stream today is to keep going on the noble houses of Havalis, which we were working on yesterday in the live stream. And hopefully we can just continue on that. Hey, hon, anytime. Thank you. So we will keep working on the noble houses, and I will use that information in a game that I'm running this afternoon, and then carry on from there. So, where were we? We were on Sharite House, and we've agreed Sharite House is neutral evil. They are connected to the Feldspar House via distant cousin relationships. The Lord of Sharite House is constantly flaunting and making a show of their variable appearance. No one knows what they really look like or what gender they are. Their name is Solaire Basilis. What is known about Solaire is that they do not take consorts that anyone knows about, and that they are highly magical. The manor is tended by unseen servants and other things, and that they're very focused on the spectacle of life, like making things beautiful and eerie and strange, performance, art, that kind of thing. What we were talking about yesterday that we kind of left off on was the two questions of what makes them evil and how do they make their money? So we'll kind of open with those today and go from there. Good morning, Patrick. How are you? Glad you could make it. I just realized like my watercolor glass is sitting here in the back corner and it's just so janky. So please don't think I'm drinking that. I'm definitely not. Glad you're good, darling. That's awesome. Ready to dig into some coming up why evil houses have some money? Because that's my plan. I'm thinking that part of their wealth is unknown to the town. So they're wealthier than they appear. So while they're still like a noble house and they spend and they look really incredible, they've got more resources behind the scene than what they're showing. But in terms of what people know about them, they make their money in, we have infrastructure, we have someone in the Navy, shipbuilding. What's that? Shipbuilding. And they sponsor the theater. Theater, symphony, dance companies. They're heavily involved in entertainment. Maybe they have the fingers in some of the higher end brothels in town. That was a terrible sentence. Oh my God, please pardon me. Unintentionally entendred. Run a few of the high and brothels. They are going to be expensive and exclusive, that kind of thing. One of the things that's important for me about the setting of Gatto is that there is absolutely no stigma against premarital sex, or like extramarital sex. This is something that I'm trying to uh, see what a society who doesn't have that restriction looks like in terms of like patriarchal structures and repressive bullshit about women's clothing and all of that kind of crap. So there's no stigma associated with going to brothels. You just have to make sure that you pay what you need to pay and treat everybody with respect, and that kind of goes along. So that's a thing. Okay, I like that. So they're racist. Now we know this. Um, so okay, here's the thing. We were talking about the leader of this society being Fae from the Winter Court. Are they racist against all non-Fae? Are they racist against just humans or just elves? Or do we have a preference? Or is it just kind of like only the Fae or only the humans or whatever that are the good ones? Definitely against foreigners. And minorities. Oh, that just gave me a really cool idea. So there is a group of like a very strong minority called the Nye in this setting. The Nye are, I don't know, they started out as like a Japanese analog and really have evolved into their own thing. But one of the things that I had associated with them was the Japanese nature spirits of the kami and the various shrines to the kami that exist in the world. And would it be interesting if, like, in particular, Sharite House was against the Nye because the Fae don't like the kami? Because, like, that would be kind of meta. I don't know that that would ever impact my players, but it would be really interesting. The ruling class is racist against all non-Fae, but they come across as otherwise. They allow the common folk to foster their own hatred of the foreigners and minorities. So they're just not suppressing that hatred. They're kind of quietly stoking the flames of it without appearing to do so, just by not speaking against that hatred. Okay, that's something that we can work with for sure. Don't come across as overtly racist, but do things in ways that support their agenda. So maybe Stephanie was saying that they're racist against the humans. So maybe they only do business with elves because elves are Fae descendants way, way back. Do business with elves because, oh yeah. What are we today? May 1st? We are May 1st, you guys. How did that happen? Only do business with elves because arrow, May 1st. Continued. They are descended from Fae a long time back. Okay. Okay, but this is just one of the minor houses. So they speak it at home, but they're still going to have to deal with human languages and human conventions in the greater society because this is not the monarchy. This is just a subgroup of the ruling powers of the minor houses, actually. Speak Fae at home. Don't go out of their way to accommodate others unless they have to. But we agreed that they were ambitious. So they definitely want more power that's available in Gato than what they have. So there's definitely going to be like a compliance to the ruling structures because if they want that power, they have to play that game within that system. So they can all deal with human guidelines. They can all play those courtly games and they know them. They know those rituals and those patterns of behavior. They just have contempt for them. Did I keep my promise from yesterday? Runehammer, I totally forgot to post that link. You are absolutely right. Just a second. Just a second. Let me pop onto YouTube here and do the thing. I will put it in the chat for right now. Okay, so there is the link for the video that I'm thinking about. He's had a few of them, but that's one of them. And I will just head back to my YouTube for 1 second and edit that comment. Give me just a second. This was yesterday. I need to open this up, edit video. And there we go. Done. Sorry about that. I had good intentions and my memory got away from me. So, but yeah, like definitely check his stuff out. His stuff is just so awesome. I dream about that. Like I've had some gaming notebooks that kind of look like that. Like this one, I have some illustrations in. Let me see if I can show you guys what I mean. But it only works well for me if I'm illustrating as a player. There's one more page in here that's really good, this one. It only works well if I'm like illustrating as a player. As a DM, I find there's just not enough time to be able to draw and like take the notes that I need to take and focus on playing the game. So yeah, most of the book past that point starts to get really messy and full of nonsense because it's just becoming functional as opposed to becoming beautiful. But I would really love to have like the style of notebook that Hankerin has because it's just so inspiring, especially to watch him flip through it. So good. Thank you for reminding me because I absolutely did have intentions of showing that to you guys, and I had forgotten. So thank you for that. All right. So Sharite's house can still play the game. Are pretty aloof. That aloofness comes across as mystery, though, and like enticement as opposed to just assholishness. That's how they stay so popular. I'm not entirely certain how I'm going to have to role play that. Like, that's a pretty big ask, but I think we can figure it out. All right. Do I need to know anything else about Sharite House right now? They're actively looking for the downfall of Feldspar House so that they can take over the properties and the holdings. All right. So that's Sharite House. We need to talk about Opal House. Opal House had a steward named Philip, who's a bit of a Renaissance man. So let's talk about him. Philip who? They are lawful good. We need a last name for Philip. Let us have a look at the list of names. You see him as French and an aristocrat. Okay, so he is, let's go look at the French last names because I have a list of those. Scroll wheels on mice are just awesome. Like, seriously, I love that they got invented as an invention. They make my life so much better. It's one of those little things that you didn't realize you loved until you've actually like not had one for a while. French. Shall we do medieval French? How about page 88? Here we go. Yeah, the fact that they also click. It's a great sound, isn't it? Okay, so we've got male personal names in the first names, and then we've got provincial names And we've got last names, family names. Okay, perfect. Um, Laura, hi, love. And then there's a Marla. The most evil puzzle. I have tagged Kim in a few puzzles for you lately, my dear. Which one do you refer to? Good to see you. Glad you guys could make it. How about Dagenet? I like Dagenet. That looks pretty. So I don't have a French analog yet. So this guy is an immigrant to Gatto. From where? Let us call the I haven't been tagging you because you and I are not actually friends on Facebook. And if I have your permission, I would like to change that. I've been tagging Kim Johnson because sometimes I think that she likes to get you presents. But yes, there's been a few that I've seen lately that I understand you like difficult puzzles, so I've been tagging Kim in them. But if you're open to it, yes, I would like to friend you, and then I can just tag you directly. Let's call the country Charest. Make a note that that's a nation. French analog. Awesome. That sounds great, Marla. Thank you. The old world. So if he's old world, right now the only major colonial power I have in play is Caius, which is kind of my analog combination of like Britain and Rome. So we have another like old empire on the horizon here that I didn't know about until right now. So Charest is an empire. They are a colonial empire. So they are expansionist. With minor military, mostly trade. An empire on the rise. Okay, I kind of like that too. So they're from the old world, but they're on the rise. They're lawful good, so they have like typical kind of lawful good tendencies. So they deal fairly. They kind of are like the free trade. Free trade or colonies? More like partnerships than colonies, I guess. But like anytime you get a colonial presence into an area, it doesn't matter how like polite and benign they think they're being, you're still causing damage. Like Canada's history is a really good example of that. People are like, it was so peaceful, you didn't have any major wars. I'm like, yeah, we still wiped out people with smallpox blankets because we are assholes. History is not kind, even if it's not necessarily like warlike destruction. Philip has an entourage that follows him everywhere. Okay. Takes a picnic and 100 people into a dozen wagons? So is he big about displaying status, or is he big about including the highest number of people he can in his joy? I kind of like the idea of a man coming at life from a position of joy, especially that joie de vivre that the French have, right? He's about being his own man. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. Um, the kind of guy to host a picnic for 100 people. In dozens of wagons. Just to share his joy. Oh, that's really good, Stephanie. I like that. Was an only child. And loves having people around as he was alone for so long growing up. So he's really friendly and eager to get along. Joie de vivre. It is kind of the opposite of the historical French kings who loved pomp for pomp's sake, for sure. I think in some ways that's a little bit of a cop-out for me because I'm not sure how I would role play like the old school French kings, especially because this is a minor noble house. It's not like we're dealing with the full top of the monarchy here. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Pardon me. Oh, sorry, guys. The entourage is always looking for a good party, especially a fancy dress. I usually have a second sneeze. Apparently not today. Do you know that about me, or do you always also get, like, second sneezes? Spell his last name. Dageneais. Is Philip married? Or does Philip date like crazy looking for the right person? Maybe Philip just dates like crazy not looking for anybody. That would kind of, like, sort of fall in with the joy. He has many flings. Okay, so not married, unmarried. Prefers to date. And I'm going to say date casually. Nothing too serious. Light loves. But no, he's not a user. He always means what he's doing. He's just not someone who gets terribly, like, deeply involved. Not a user. just light in commitment. Okay, yeah, I like that. Marriage would be a distraction from his Renaissance pursuits. Okay, so what other kind of family is around him then? Like, does he have an heir? Did he, like, adopt somebody and just be like, "You're gonna be it for me, congratulations, I don't want a wife, I don't wanna have to have my own kids." Is he fully expecting that a cousin of his is going to take over for him, when he stops being the head of Opal House? Um, I feel like the cousin thing is probably a little more in line with this. I can't see him necessarily adopting somebody if he doesn't want the distractions that marriage would bring. He's too new to the lordship. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. I like that. I like that. Um, so what did he do to get elevated to being a minor noble then? Because like that's going to be important. Maybe he's the newest minor house. Um, probably something military related. Um, maybe he brought in a really, really profitable trade deal from Charest that he kind of was the pinpoint of opening trade and relationships between Charest and Gatto, the brother of a more powerful lord. But that's not powerful. Well, maybe he's the brother of a powerful lord from Charest. And then that's why he was sent to Gatto to try and strike up this deal. What do we think about that? Oh, but he has no siblings. Right, we agreed to that. Well, we can change that. That's easy to do. Was an only child. No, I like the only child thing now that you say that. So what if he's just a cousin, not a brother, a cousin? No, because cousins require siblings. God, I hate genealogy sometimes. Um, maybe he's like the trusted friend of somebody in the hierarchy of Charest. Let's do that. Okay, he's the trusted friend of someone high up in the hierarchy. I spelled that wrong. Of Charest, was sent to Gatto to establish beneficial trade. And he was pivotal in discovering who assassinated the queen. Because the queen died a while ago. This is how he got his nobility. Okay. Okay, I kind of dig that. So like they weren't expecting this trade thing to work out with Gatto. Sheree wasn't really expecting him, Philip, to be successful, establishing trade, but he's held in very good stead now. By both nations. All right. All right. All right. So we know that he is a good steward, but he's also going to be like pretty diplomatic. And that's part of his like easiness with people. He's got a really high charisma. We need to write that down. High charisma. That kind of thing. Okay, so what else do we need to know about Opal House? How do they make their money? How does Opal House make its money? Agriculture? We said he was a good steward. Maybe he is in charge of many, many farms outside of Gatto. Or fishing. I feel like I like agriculture a little bit better because that joie de vivre and the idea of bounty and the idea of stewardship. Okay, so finances. Makes his money in agriculture. Joy, bounty, stewardship. Yeah, okay, and he's got his own inheritance. Does he get a stipend from Sheree for performing this diplomatic work? I think so. Okay. Okay, that handles his money. And I like that that means that some of his money is coming in from a source outside of Gatto because that kind of gives him an external stability that the other noble houses don't necessarily have, which may make his like presence more enduring. And he's a good steward, so like he's got money to spend, but he's not like blowing out the bank. So I think that that's important too. All right, so I think that tells us about Opal House. Who do we have next? We have Hematite House, who is lawful evil. How do we represent a lawful evil house in Gatto? I need a marker to kind of clean up some of this notes. Give me colors. I need colors. We'll do this. Okay, so this is Diamond House, Sapphire House, Carnelian House, Feldspar House, Sharite House, Opal House. Hematite House. There we go. All right, Hematite House is lawful evil. How do you be lawful evil in a lawful good society? Well, the emphasis is on law. So they are very legalistic. So maybe they are lawyers. They're in the judiciary. Lawyers, jailers, executioners. Although, like, that totally feeds into the trope of evil lawyers, which, like, maybe I should be avoiding. But they're probably not the only lawyers in town. There's gonna be good lawyers. As a matter of fact, I know there's a good lawyer because there's a courtesan who's a law student by day. Her name is Avila. So, not the only lawyers. But yeah, they're in the judiciary. They make their money that way. They're powerful because they're so involved with the law. What does a lawful evil alignment mean, though? Let's see if there's a conversation about that in the book. 122. Creatures methodically take what they want within the limits of the code of tradition, loyalty, or order. Devils, blue dragons, and hobgoblins are lawful evil. Okay, I'm going to write that out so that I have that for my own reference after. I think that makes that pretty accessible. Perhaps Philip has dealings with a monastic mercenary order that operates as a banking system. The Spartan-like brotherhood transports wealth between locations and has temples in most larger cities to support lowly citizens as well as wealthy aristocrats. I kind of like that because that goes back to that sharing with everybody and that joy thing. Okay. I like that. So let's say he doesn't make all of his money in agriculture. Dealings with a monastic order that functions as a banking system. Monastic mercenary order. Banking system. The Spartan-like brotherhood transports wealth between locations. Okay. Okay, so we're going to need to talk about this banking system and about this mercenary order. So, like, hang on, Hematite House, you're just going to have to wait. Monastic order. We need to know they're mercenaries. We need a name. I am going to say this monastic order originates in Sharai. And is kind of like, I don't want to say like the Templars, because that's a really, really loaded bag, but is kind of like an order of holy knights. I mean, I guess I can't get away from that. Holy monks, fighting monks. Originates in Sharai. They gained access to Gatto recently as part of Philip's retinue. But that's like super recent. So how can he draw it? Well, maybe it's an upcoming thing. Philip's retinue, permission from the crown. To immigrate and operate. They are mercenaries, so they're mercenaries that now are detachment to the crown. That are now a detachment to the crown under crown command. They're based in the high mountains, okay. With temples in Havalis and other major settlements. They have fought in the last major rebuttal, which happened. How long has Philip been in town, guys? For a while? 20 years? Maybe? How long has Philip been in town? How old is Philip? That's a really good question. I feel like Philip should be older. I feel like Philip should be, okay, 25 years in town. So let's say he's like in his early 50s. I like that. Philip, let's say he's 53. I like the idea of him dating at that age too. That's really exciting. Which happened 10 years ago. He's been in town 25 years, which is nice and long. Like, gets you established, gets you all taken care of, gets the mercenary order established as well, which is great. Fought in the last major rebuttal, which happened 10 years ago, distinguished themselves to the crown. The trade thing has proved useful, so they've been given crown sanction. We still need a name for these guys. He's new to the nation. We said he was too new to establish an heir. You're right, we did. We did. So maybe no, because we already agreed that he had come to establish trade. All right, so instead of 25 years, let's say 5 years. 5 years is a lot. He's been in town for 5 years. They fought in the last major rebuttal, which was 3 years ago, which puts this like really recent. So there was a small war skirmish 3 years ago. that we didn't know about until right now. Okay. I think I'm gonna just start like charting a timeline for Gatto. Like, when were all of these naval battles? How long has this been going on? Which I can do. I just don't have to do it right now. Okay, so monastic order. We need a name for these guys. Who are they? I like the idea of it having to do with precious metals, silver or gold or mithril or platinum. Because the whole like banking aspect of things. But there's also other possibilities. Naming things is hard. Like, naming things is one of the hardest parts of doing any of this. Okay. Colors. What if they have a sacred color? Monastic. Monastic to who? Monastic implies that there is a saint or a god involved. Saint somebody's hands. Kind of like that. French. So let's have a look at French names again. A red color to hide the blood in battle. Okay, I like that. So sacred color is red. Le is that not the hours? Just a second, I need a translator. There we go. That's what I wanted. Why don't we call them the Legion? I want something a little bit different than the Legion, I think. Because they're monks. To me, Legion is packing a pike and a big kite shield. And that's not the image that I get with these guys. You sent me a PDF. Okay, cool. I will check that PDF once we're done the stream. Something French. Yeah, I was thinking the hours. Like, what if we called them the hours? Le And then they have, because like something about like there's time to worship and time to die or something like that. Um, who are they in monastic tradition-y to? They are monastic tradition-y to somebody. Just need to check this. Does Share as a nation subscribe to the divine right of kings? Because if we're drawing from some elements of the French, then that's a pretty popular trope. I did not know that, Patrick. That's really interesting. Like seals during their training, anyone may ring the bell and flunk out of the order. Huh. Okay. I kind of like that. Let's change that. I want to say siblings of the bell or the bell's children. I just want it to be gender neutral because I don't think this is a monastic order strictly of men. Order is open to all genders. I like the bell's children. I think that that's poetic enough. What does that look like in French? Let's translate that really quick. L'enfant de la cloche. Yeah, I kind of dig that. Okay. As French legionnaires, anyone can apply. Okay, I think that's true in Charret. I don't think that's true in Gatto. I think in Gatto, because you're dealing with the sovereign soil of a different nation, they have to be pre-screened and battle tested in Charret before they can apply to work in Gatto as an outpost. Because that way the sovereignty of Gatto is not under threat by having this random army of Charret generating on their soil. How does that sound? Okay. How do I make notes about that? Like the French Foreign Legion, anyone can join on Charret soil. However, only screened and battle tested members can petition for service in Gatto, so Gatto's sovereignty isn't under siege by a Share army gathering on its soil. That is not a possessive its. Leave the apostrophe out of there. Because Gatto is also actively a military outpost, right? Like they recruit for their own army and their own navy religiously. Almost literally religiously. So I think it would be a problem if Share was also recruiting in that pool. I think that that would be a conflict of interest in a pretty big way. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on that. Okay, so there's a pilgrimage to become a member. Okay. To the mountain base. All right. So we need to talk about the banking aspect of this now. Banking. They have money because of the investments they've put into Gatto's infrastructure. Are the banks public? Like, can anybody open an account there, or is it specifically for diaspora Share? I feel like it might need to be public in order to be self-sustaining. Safe deposit boxes. Okay, I dig that. Okay. Provide safe deposit boxes for art and heirlooms. Okay, Stephanie says they're public. Anyone can use. Let's see, what else? Let's say you can also do limited investment in Share from these outposts. If you want to diversify your portfolio. I think that will become relevant to Charles's character Kaiden, who is starting to invest in various things as a means to, like, he wants a minor nobility himself. So he's starting to try and find ways to sponsor that. Public to the wealthy, microloans to the poor. Okay, I dig that. That goes back to Philip's sharing sensibility. So Okay, I'm gonna go back and say that instead of making his money in agriculture, he is a banker. Because that's kind of how this is coming across here to me. So he's a banker. And I like that. That works well for me. Insure the caravans. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like, and there's probably even a little bit of that going on for Philip too. Insurance, kind of a Lloyd's of London situation. Okay. So that tells us enough about the Bell's children for now, I think. All right, let's go back to Hematite House. Okay, his startup capital. I dig that. I dig that. Let's make a note of that. All right, Hematite House. We know they are legalistic. Blue marker. All right, I was going to write out the definition of lawful evil so that I had it. All right. Lawful evil creatures methodically take what they want within the limits of a code of tradition, loyalty, or order. Okay. All right. So we know that these guys are involved in the judicial system. They're always plotting and planning. Absolutely. I agree with that assessment. So many lawyers. Yeah. Lawyers, judges. What else did I have here? Jailers, executioners. In this situation, executioners are gladiatorial arena referees. What do they want? What is the objective of Hematite House? No, I don't think jailers can be commercial. It doesn't fit with other parameters that I've established for the justice system. It's a restorative justice system by and large, unless you have really, really fucked up, at which point they're just going to execute you. I think, what do they want? I think they want Gatto to stop being on the defensive all the time and go on the offensive. I think that they want the nation to start expanding, and take over other things the way that other nations keep trying to take them over. How do we feel about that? It's a much grander plan than a lot of these other minor houses. You like it? Okay, let's do that. Okay. Okay. So these guys are legal eagles, but they're also gonna be pretty like mobility or blah, military. Um, but they're in favor of a stricter form of military. They're in favor of like mandatory service and conscription. Although there's already mandatory service, I think. Not totally sure on that. Favors mandatory military service, not just civil service. So every citizen is a soldier / can fight. Favors conscription. In times of crisis. Generally sees might as power. And power as opportunity. Okay. So they're quietly working on for what need to have such a large army. Perhaps they provide the monarchy with the most troops, while Philip would gladly pay the crown and keep his own soldiers. Can you expand on that for me? I'm not quite clear on what you mean. Just rephrase it a little bit. Right. Right, 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 right. No, no, it's all good. I appreciate you rephrasing, thank you. That wasn't something that I had been considering, so I kinda missed out on it. Um, we'd kind of already said that, like, Philip's men are kind of detachments to the crown now. I think that's the only way that the monarchy would be comfortable with a foreign military presence on their soil. Um, not sure how to reconcile that right now. Oh, pardon me, yawning. Um, but like, okay, so Hematite House is the largest recruiter for military. Let's just say that. And maybe they have changed policy in sentencing for the courts that your jail time can be spent in the army. Maybe you get half time if you do military service to reduce sentence. Okay. Oh, boo, 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 boo. So they make their money in law and they make their money somehow else. We need to have something else going on here. Because I'm not sure how you fund an entire noble house with lawyers. I mean, I know lawyers make a lot of money, but still. They invest. What do they invest in? They invest in mining. Oh, they invest in the insurance. You are brilliant. Yes, let's do that. The insurance for caravans and shipping concerns. That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Caravans and shipping concerns, also domestic, commercial. Yes, that feels like a very, very good fit. Awesome, awesome, awesome. We need to know who the head of this house is. Um, Stephanie, is the head of this house male or female or something else? Established a crude stock market? To run the insurance. Okay, I like that. Something else. Okay. Um, so What are we working on? We are working on who is the leader of Hematite House right now. Um, like, let's talk about the leadership of this, the way we talked about Philip. Let's figure out who's in the head of Hematite House. So different race or halfling. I don't want to do a halfling. I'm kind of fundamentally against halflings and dwarves. I don't know why. Just struggle with them. Um, what if they're a dragonborn? What if they are dragonborn? We don't have any dragonborn in the setting right now. So that could be fun. Okay, let's do dragonborn. Let's say it's a male. Let's say he's blue, because traditionally blue dragons are lawful evil, even though that's not a thing that's necessarily true in my world. What is a name for this guy? What kind of language do we want to use? Maybe he's from... No, he's got to be from Gatto. What kind of options do we got here? What about Russian? Kind of like the idea of that, maybe? Let's go have a look at the names and see what we come up with. Russian. Something with a B. Okay, let's have a look at this. Is he an upstart? So he has just taken over Hematite House from someone else. Is that what you're suggesting? There's not too many B names in this Russian thing. Let's have another look here. There's Bronislav. How about Baranov? I like Baranov. That works for me. Brutus. No, I think Brutus is a little too like nail on the head. And Roman. Roman-ish, sort of, to my brain. Baranov, I like. What kind of last name do we want? Zoya. Baranov Zoya. All right, let's go with that. So he is an upstart. Took over the family leadership 6 months ago when his predecessor was assassinated as part of the gang war raging in Gatto. I'll figure out who killed who later. His predecessor was his sibling. Okay. Predecessor was older sister. Need a name. Oksana. Zoya. 10 years his senior. Had been the family head for 15 years. Okay, so how old is Baranov? I want to say he's like in his 30s, young 30s. Let's put him at like 31. And so Oksana had been 41 when she passed and had been the family head for 15 years. That seems like a lot. Had been the family head. Dragonborn live a fairly long time, I thought. Hang on. Let me look it up. They are not in the PHP. I'm gonna have to Google that. Just one second. $80 years. They reach adulthood by 15. So I'll say she had been the head of the family for 10 years, not 15 years. We'll go with that. So she was 41 when she died. Baranov. How does Baranov feel about taking over? I think he's angry about the death of his sister. And wants revenge on the gangs that caused her death. Wasn't that what he wanted to do? He didn't want to be in this position. Didn't want to take over Oksana's position. What did he want to do instead? He was responsible for her death. Oh, he orchestrated it? But then if it wasn't what he wanted to do, why did he orchestrate it? I'm okay with those things being in contradiction as long as we have a good reason. Responsible for her death. Okay, expand on that for me, Patrick. Her reign was horrible because of her various siblings' plots. How many siblings are there? Stephanie, what dice should I roll to find out how many siblings she has? D6? All right, let's do it. Only one sibling. So we need another dice. Go with Steph's. Well, that means we just got the one. Roll again. Okay. One again. 3. All right, let's go with 3. All right, there are 3 siblings. Other than Oksana. Plus Oksana. There is... He's the only boy. Okay. I like that. So he's the only boy. Does he have a misogynistic bias that says only men should lead? I think so. So he's the second in the birth order. There's Oksana. Then there's Baranov. And then we need 2 more names. Agafia. And Lydia. No, Lydia's a little too normal. Ksenia. Okay. So Oksana was the oldest at 41. Baranov was the next oldest at 31. Agafia is really close in age to Baranov. Let's say she's 27. And Ksenia is 26. Okay. So those 2 are really close together. Maybe Agafia and Ksenia are from a second marriage. Mother remarried. And then like these guys are from the first marriage. Baranov was an oops. Okay, so he's got a chip on his shoulder because he was an oops. He was kind of raised being told that he was a burden or an imposition. When Oksana was the one they wanted. He hates his younger sisters. Because they come from a happier marriage. All right. So he orchestrated this assassination of Oksana through the gangs, which means he has a hand in the gang war. He's a silent backer on one side of this. Maybe he's biasing the judicial system to let off certain people selectively if they do him favors. Question mark. Which side of this gang war is he on? I don't need to know that right now. Okay, so lawful evil creatures methodically take what they want within the limits of a code of tradition, loyalty, or order. Lawyers, judges, jailers, executioners. They want Gatto to become an expansionist state rather than being on the defensive all the time. They use the Navy to make some of what's out there for themselves, or at least take the fight to other shores for a change. They favor mandatory military service, not just civil service, so that every citizen is a soldier and can fight. They favor conscription in times of crisis and generally see power as opportunity. They are the largest recruiter for the military, and they've changed policy in sentencing to the courts so that jail time can be spent in the army to reduce the sentence. They make their money investing in insurance for caravans, shipping concerns, and domestic and commercial insurance. They've established a rudimentary stock market to fund that. The leader of the clan is Baranov Zoya. He's an upstart. He took over the family leadership 6 months ago when his sister was assassinated as part of the gang war raging in Gatto. Her name was Oksana Zoya. She was 10 years his senior and had been the family head for 10 years. He's angry about the death of his sister and wants revenge on the games that caused her death. That's not true if he's the one that organized it. So we're going to cross that out. He didn't want to take over Oksana's position. That's also not true if we have established that he was the one that assassinated her. He has 3 siblings plus Oksana. No, 3 siblings, including Oksana. He's the only boy. He has a bias that only men should lead. Oksana, Baranov, Agafia, and Ksenia. He has a chip on his shoulder because he was an unexpected child, was raised being told that he was an imposition when Oksana was the one they wanted. He hates his younger sisters because they come from a happier marriage. He orchestrated Oksana's assassination through the gangs. He's a silent backer in the gang war, perhaps biasing judicial system to let certain people off if they do him favors. The only way I could see him being angry about the death of his sister is if he felt she pushed him into having to kill her. Maybe she was the one that was crooked. Maybe she was the one that was letting people off on sentencing and stuff like that. And he couldn't handle the fact that she wasn't treating the law with respect. And he felt that she forced his hand and that he had to take her out in order to restore integrity to the law. Maybe? Am I reaching on that? Okay, so we're going to keep this, sort of. We're going to move this over to the next page. He had her assassinated because she was crooked. And he couldn't stand seeing the law continuously being subverted, feels she forced his hand, made him do it. He's angry. She put him in that position. And then he's found himself doing the same thing because it's part of the system. Okay, I like that. That gives us a bit more nuance. So maybe he's got some self-loathing going on. Because he can't be better than she was. So the guilt he feels for murdering her was for nothing. All right. That works for me. And I think that's a good spot to wrap up for today. Oh, stretch. Oof. Oh boy, we went for an hour and 45 minutes, you guys. Good job. All right. So let's call this for today. We will reconvene with Malachite House next time. Are there any unanswered questions? Not with Hematite House right now. Not yet. No. Malachite House is true neutral, and we will figure out what their deal is next time. We've got Malachite House and Tanzanite House left of the minor houses, so just those two. And then it'd be more going on. You don't need to be talkative, Laura. It was nice that you were just here. I hope you weren't bored. You're very welcome, Patrick. That's no trouble at all. I'm glad you were here and you had so many fabulous things to contribute. I really enjoyed all of your contributions today. Oh, no, you don't need to be sorry about that at all. It helps things flow better when there's lots of talking. So I enjoy it. All right, my ducks, let's do this. I will definitely be streaming again next Thursday. I think I will have the ability to stream on Friday next week as well. But Dave comes home next Saturday, not tomorrow, but the week after. So I'm not totally sure what my posting schedule is going to look like the week after, but we will find out. So I'll keep you posted. Just follow the Facebook stuff and we'll do all the thing. So take care and we'll catch you later. Bye.